You're listening to Business Stories with Ryan R. Karachi, a podcast dedicated to helping entrepreneurs become even more successful. Let's jump into today's episode. Hey, welcome back to the Business Stories podcast. And as always, I'm bringing on entrepreneurs, experts in marketing and sales and business. And a lot of people probably wondering about marketing these days. How do you develop a marketing strategy? Where does AI fit into all of that? So I've brought in Jonathan Aufray. He is with Growth Hackers, and they are a marketing firm. He's international. Jonathan is actually, I think, originally you're from France, right, Jonathan?
Yes, Ryan. So first, thanks for having me here.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm originally from France.
So tell us about your story with developing this brand or this company and your background about it. What inspired
Sh-
you to do this?
Sure. Let me quickly introduce myself, maybe, because yeah, I'm originally from France, but I moved out of France like almost 20 years ago. In the last 20 years, I used to live in many countries like the US, the UK, Ireland, Spain, Australia, and now I'm here in Taiwan. And for the past 10 plus years now. And I created Go Cycles, I co-founded Go Cycles around 8 or 9 years ago. And the idea at the time, I was at a startup in Taiwan and we moved to the UK because we got accepted to an accelerator. And when we were in the incubator in Taiwan and then the accelerator in the UK, what we found is like people are really good at building products, building apps, etc. But most of the founders usually are good at tech, but they don't really know how to actually promote their startup. So we decided to create Go Cycles. At first, the idea was to help Taiwanese startups go global.
Mhm.
And we kind of pivoted almost right away, maybe after 3 months, because the Taiwanese startup ecosystem, it has nothing to do with, let's say, Silicon Valley or London or any other of those places. It's really small here. So the thing is, we pretty much knew all the startups, all the entrepreneurs already. So the idea was, when we pivoted, was to help Western startups, small and medium-sized businesses get more leads and sales, pretty much. And that's what we have been doing for the past 8 years.
That's great. And I know people listening are going to wonder, well, in this day and age where I don't know about you, but in this country, things are going up in cost, marketing is more expensive, and you do emphasize the idea of sustainable growth over vanity metrics, right? So, how do you help your clients understand that they really have to look at the long-term strategy when it comes to their marketing plan? Like, how do you approach that?
So I think they should look at both short term and long term.
Right.
Because thing is, like that's because of my startup background, like when you're in a startup, you want fast growth pretty much. And when you work at a corporate, let's say like Nike, Starbucks, you don't really care about fast growth. What you care about, it's about your brand. And for small and medium-sized businesses, you have to work on both. You want to get more leads or sales pretty much right away, but
Right.
you also want to have like a vision for the next couple of years or so. So the idea is to try to drive revenue or at least users or leads quite quickly in the next 2 to 3 months. So that could be with outreach if you are in B2B that works really well on LinkedIn, for example, but it could also be with advertising. So advertising, it depends kind of like your type of business, if you're B2C or B2B. So it could be like Google Ads, it could be LinkedIn, it could be Meta, etc. But you don't just want to run ads, you also want to build a kind of funnel, because most of people, like, they're going to go to your website and they might not buy whether it's your product or your sales right away or your service right away. It might take them like a few touch points. So the thing is, once you have like a lead, you want to make sure that you keep sharing content, case studies, stories about your products, your brands, etc. And then on the long term, you also want to work on channels such as SEO. So it means like driving traffic over time on Google by creating content mostly on the website. And why? Because like a sales funnel or ads, even if you bring your leads, as soon as you stop running the ads, you're not going to get a flow of leads anymore. The advantage of working on SEO or those kind of long-term channels is if in like 9 months you don't have a budget for any kind of reasons to run ads, you will still get leads. So it's kind of a safe net to work on both short-term and long-term.
This is good to know. And I got to ask you too, when it comes to startups, I mean, startups, it seems like it's that pivotal time where you're excited, but you're also nervous. What are the common growth mistakes you see with startups when it comes to their marketing approach?
Oh, so it's going to be long to list all the mistakes that I find, but
Yeah.
like, let me give you a few. Some startups, they are becoming very impatient,
Yeah.
and I've seen startups like pivoting like literally on a weekly basis, so sometimes twice a week, you know. So it's like they speak like a potential investor, and the potential investors like they give them like an advice. So the founder is like, okay, let's apply this. And 3 days after, they read an article on TechCrunch and they're like, okay, let's do this now. And 3 days after, they talk about another founder who did something different. So they pivot again. And the thing is, that's a mistake, because if you keep pivoting, you can't actually test anything. You can't see if it's working or not. So don't be too impatient. But like I would say also, like if you don't like use the lean startup methodology. So it's kind of like, even if you don't want to be impatient, you still want to test things, gather data or collect data and learn from it quite fast. So it's like I've seen founders, instead of pivoting, they build something like for like there are like 6 or 7 engineers. They build something for 9 months and they don't actually test the market. They don't test the products. They don't test to their potential users, to their personas, to no one. And once they actually launch 9 months after, they find out that actually their product is useless, or they actually don't solve a problem or whatever. So they just lost 9 months. So the thing is, launch fast, collect data, and most importantly is act on it, because like everybody is speaking about data. You need to have data, but like, so I see a lot of startups that they have all the data possible about their product or about their app, but they don't actually do anything with it. They don't actually analyze it, and they don't understand it, and then they don't act on it. So if you have data about one of the features is nobody's using it, stop stop it. Or if like a lot of your users are asking for a specific feature, maybe it might be the time to implement it. Don't just have like a Trello board or a Monday board or something with like 100 things to do. Prioritize the things that are the most important. Another mistake that I see is like, because of, I think it's a little bit about, because of the media. The media always talk about the startups that raise like 5 million, 10 million, $100 million.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you can be bootstrapped or you can get users like in a cheap way. You don't necessarily need like tens of millions of dollars to actually promote your product. And success is doesn't like, it's not because you raise 10 or 20 millions that you're going to actually be successful. It's not because you didn't raise any money, so you keep control of your whole company, that you are not going to be successful. So don't always focus on like raising funds, because fundraising is like a full-time job. Like you
Yeah.
need to speak to investors, outreach to them, follow up with them, sending them reports, sending them traction, etc. And so you can't focus on your product while fundraising, or it's really, really hard. And especially with like the rise of AI automation the past like 2 years, I would say, like there's so many things that you can do with a small team. So in I like a fraction of the cost. So you don't necessarily need millions of dollars to actually build something great. I would say yes, two of those three mistakes. I have many more in stocks, but I would say those ones kind of happen very often.
So you brought up AI, which I think is interesting. Where does that play into what you do in the marketing strategy? Do you feel like AI could essentially, I hate to say it, but almost replace marketing teams, or I guess take some of the marketing team away? Where does it play into what you are doing for your clients,
Yeah,
if anywhere?
it does, and it will even more and more. Like the thing is, so far, like we use AI for two things: to automate processes and for ideation, like to get new ideas about like a topic to cover or something to write about or to analyze a competitor or something. AI is extremely, extremely useful because like if I want like an idea for like a topic for a website or for a YouTube video, like I can come up by myself with 10 or 20 topics, like, I don't know, within a couple of hours or something. But with
Yeah.
AI, I can come up with 500 topics within a minute, kind of. Probably 90%, not 90%, maybe 20% of them won't be good. So I will still need to be there to make sure that the ideas that the AI come up with are relevant or they are actually interesting. But it makes you work so much faster. And AI, what's interesting is also like it keeps evolving, it keeps improving, and there's new tools on a daily basis. So of course ChatGPT was like kind of the first one that, like I would say, disrupted the market, but now there's like dozens of one, whether it's for images, videos, graphics, writing, etc. There's just so many tools. So definitely people should use AI to get ideas for now, to create content, especially to kind of like 10x your work. Like a lot
Right.
of people say you need to like hire 10x people, or you need to be a 10x guy. And the thing is, with AI, even if you're just a 1x performer, you can become a 10x performer. So it's kind of like you have to use AI, you have to stay on the loop or on the trends to see what's going on. Just one comment then about not so much AI, but I would say automation. One of the mistakes that I saw, so it kind of also answer your previous question, is kind of like people want to automate things too fast. And like I see founders are like, oh, they saw an article about AI automations. They're like, oh, I'm going to automate everything. I'm going to automate my marketing. I'm going to automate my outreach. I'm going to automate my processes, my recruiting, whatever it is. But they try to automate something that doesn't work yet, or they didn't test out. So for example, if you automate your marketing but you actually don't know if your marketing is working, you're just going to waste time automating something and find out that it doesn't work. So it's kind of, you will have to go back creating a marketing strategy, and once it's working, then you can automate. So don't start with automation, starts by I can't remember who was saying it. I think it was Paul Graham, but it might be someone else who was saying like do things that don't scale. So always do things like manually at first, and then once something is working, then you can try to automate it.
That's some good advice. I do like that. So, can you share a client success story that kind of stands out in your mind? Can you talk about the approach with you and them, what you learned working with them, and what they saw working with you? Can you kind of walk us through a little bit of that?
Sure, I can share which clients. Maybe Voodoo. It was it still is obviously, but it's like it was a mobile app publisher based in France at the beginning, and they were doing like casual games, mobile games.
Okay.
And when we started working with them, that I think that's 3 or 4 games or something. And what made the success is not only what we did, to be honest, is also the founders, Alex especially, the I think he's the co-founder and CEO, was extremely reactive, extremely based. He was focusing a lot on his data and like changing things quite quickly. He
Yeah.
will, for example, he will launch an app or a new feature in the app. He will test it at scale, and if he will see like a surge or like an increase in user retention, for example, by 20% in the next 2 weeks or 2 months, then he will actually scale it. If it will see it was not working, he will kind of give up that new feature and try something else. And what was really interesting about Voodoo is like how fast they were able to adapt to new technologies or new trends. And they started, as I told you, really, really small. And then I think it was around 5 years ago, they got acquired, maybe not acquired, but at least funded by Goldman Sachs. So now they became an American company.
Hmm.
And now I'm not quite sure exactly their valuation now, but it's around 2 billion US dollars. So they really started really small, but their mindset about like testing and iterating really quickly, that's what made one of the reasons that made a success.
Wow. So, for people that are listening that are just trying to bootstrap and grow, no matter how small, and they're concerned about money, they're concerned about scaling, and they understand they have to spend money to make money and have to invest. But what is your advice to those that are anxious or nervous about investing and to scale, but there's some concern there about how much do I spend? Can I afford it? Do I have to invest in the next year of this? I mean, there's a lot of questions people have when it comes to building their marketing strategy and their budget. So, what advice do you have for people in that state of mind?
Okay, I think I'm going to go with 2 tips here. Like first, I will always go look at the competitors, because no matter what you do, you always have competitors. And like some companies will tell me, no, I don't have any competitors. And I will tell them, yes, you do, because if you don't, it means 2 things. Either you didn't do any kind of market research,
Yeah.
so that's a huge problem, or even worse, like you don't actually have competitors, meaning that no startups, no entrepreneurs, no companies, no one in the world wants to do what you do. So if no one wants to do what you do, it probably means you don't have a market. So look at your competitors and look at what they are doing in terms of acquisition, of marketing, because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If one of the competitors is doing something for like a few months, it probably means it's working. So try to replicate or reverse engineer what they are doing. Always try to do something better. Don't just copy paste. And when I say competitors, try to look at competitors that are 1 stage or 2 stage two stages ahead of you. Don't look at this huge competitor where you can't actually compete. So for example, if you launch, let's say like a new sneakers,
Yeah.
don't look at Nike. I mean, it's like you're not going to compete with Nike, but maybe you've got like a new innovative sneaker like in Colorado, where they have a new technology that looks actually very similar to yours, are not much bigger. So always look at what your competitors is doing and learn from them. And then second, about the budget itself, don't like I would say don't plan for 2 or 3 months, but plan for 12 months. Because the thing is, like, if you come to like a freelancer or to an agency, or if you just want to do things in-house, you're like, okay, I have like a run rate of like 2 months. Yeah, but that's a huge risk because if you say you've got like a budget of 10,000 US dollars, an example, and you want to spend 5,000 the first month, 5,000 the second month after you've got nothing else, but then in 2 months you just close the company. So it's kind of like if you have, let's say, $10,000, so it's kind of bootstrap. Yeah, plan of okay, I'm going to spend $1,000 every month for the next 12 months or something. And once I start to get revenue, I can reinvest it. But don't like just have a very short-term strategy. I put all my eggs in the same basket and I do like an all in for 2 months. If it doesn't work, I just close. Like always try to kind of like put your budget for at least 12 months. If it's a bit more, it's better, but don't have like a run rate of like 2 months because it's just it's like it's gambling, it's like just putting all on the red, and if it's black you're going to lose. So it's kind of like have like medium term focus when you have a low budget.
I think that's a common issue I've heard being in digital marketing is that clients think, well, I have enough for 2 months or 3 months. Isn't that enough to generate enough, business for me? And they don't realize that it's a long play game and it's got to be a year, sometimes 2 years to really get the ball rolling. And I think that's a common problem. And I think it's also because people are afraid to spend the money. I mean, I think that's a concern, but it's kind of a necessity, right, Jonathan? I mean, you can't really, if someone approaches you and says, I want to run a campaign for 2, 3 months, I mean, that's kind of silly, right? There's really not much you're going to get from that because that's just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yeah, totally. And plus, so many things could, like, in 2 or 3 months, is just such a huge bet because the thing is, like, a million things could happen. Like, for example, like, I don't know, like a competitor just release exactly what you're doing in the next 2 months. So it's like, actually, you don't have any more value proposition. Or we start driving traffic to your website and like we find out there's a bug for some kind of reason that we didn't find out before, or we drive the traffic to like we get users for your SaaS, and for any reason that's like it's not working, and that you can fix it within a few months, but you can't fix it within a few weeks. And so it's kind of like you will have lose it. So usually when people contact us and say, oh, I just have a budget for 2 months or 3 months. Let's do something. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, we stop. We're not really interested because it's going to give. It's like a lose-lose almost.
Right.
Because for my team, it will be so much pressure, and for the client it will also like they will pressure us and they will be extremely stressed because they want to see results pretty much the first week. And so that's going to say almost a lose-lose for everyone. And on top of us for on top of it, for us working on like like 2 months with anyone, it just doesn't make sense because we prefer to work on a long-term basis, because the time that we learn about the new tool or the new products that they develop, understanding what is their ideal customers, auditing the competition, coming up with the strategies, running the campaigns, analyzing data, acting on the data, all of this in 2 months and plus scale is pretty much impossible. And the thing is, like I remember like a few years ago, I don't know if you remember, what was it? It was Clubhouse. It was like TikTok but for
Yep.
podcast, or
I
TikTok
remember
but like
that.
audio TikTok, let's call
Yep.
it. And like they became like almost like a overnight success. They become like I think it was like $7 billion company within 3 months or whatever it is. And like entrepreneurs were contacting us and were like, oh, can you replicate this? Can we become $1 billion company in the next 3 months? And I was always telling them, I was like, oh, that's just a super specific case, as they got so lucky. Actually, they crashed just after anyway. But like I was like, we never want to like give ourselves like crazy goals, especially super quickly. And we want to be as transparent as possible at the beginning. We're like, oh, it's going to take time, and there's a process involved. And in the agency world, what's annoying is like a lot of agencies that will accept any clients,
Yeah.
and whatever the client says, they will say yes. So they're like, oh, can I become the next Amazon in 6 months? They will say yes. Me, I would tell them, no, this, like, it's not
Right.
going to work. It's like, first, what you want to do is, let's say, build an e-commerce site. Then you want to have one sales, then you want to have 10 sales, then you want 100 sales, etc. If your goal is like you don't have an e-commerce website and you want to be the next Amazon in 6 months, there's 0% chance it happens. And the only way will be like you have these new technologies that's going to put Amazon in the dust. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So the thing, and I give you this example about Amazon because that's literally what someone told me a couple of years ago. They contacted us and they told us they wanted to beat Amazon in the next 6 months, and they didn't even have a website yet, and they asked
Wow.
me to prepare a strategy to achieve it. I was like, there's no one who can do it, and he was telling me that I don't understand this business. I don't know what I'm talking about, and he found an agency that can do it. I was like, yeah, okay, work with them if you want, but I'm
Yeah.
telling you. And I didn't hear about them, so I don't think I don't think they beat Amazon. I didn't hear, I didn't hear about it.
Big surprise. Big surprise there.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, no pressure trying to beat Amazon in 6 months. I mean, no pressure there, right?
yeah.
Um, so before we kind of wrap this up, like if a new client approaches you, what is sort of your to-do list for them to really be successful? I mean, when they approach you on that first meeting, what are some tips or ideas you can give them to really think about what should they think about to be, ultimately successful with you?
So the thing is, like, usually, maybe I can tell you a little bit about our process. Usually,
Yeah.
like when people contact us, what we do is usually we do a discovery call, and it lasts like around half an hour or something. And the idea is to understand as much about their business, and what it means is, of course, the products that they have been building, who is their ideal customers, who are the competitors, what have they been doing in terms of marketing, if they've done anything, and what are their goals for the next like 9 to 12 months, I would say. And then from there, what we do is we create this like preliminary audit, a preliminary strategy. It lasts
Hmm.
around a week, where we're going to come up with anywhere between 3 to 7 like advanced strategies to get more leads or visitors or customers, whatever their goal is. And this audit lasts a week. It's completely free, so it's like risk free at all. And then if we start working with each other, like I would say officially, then we've got a 2 months approach. The first month is what we call the onboarding and campaign proposal. So where we need to access to their websites, their branding guidelines, like any kind of content that they have, any kind of documentation that they have. And during the 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to create this full campaign proposal about the messaging, about the images, videos, keywords, etc. And then only then in the second month, that's when we start executing the strategies. And that's what I was telling you, like a 2 months plan doesn't make sense because it takes us almost a month to create this full campaign proposal.
Yeah.
And again, yesterday I was like with someone who wanted to launch a campaign literally this Friday. So yesterday was Monday for me. And literally this Friday, that was a discovery call as I wanted to launch a campaign this Friday. I was telling them that's not going to work for us because there's no way that by this Friday we understand your business enough, we understand like what you want to achieve, and we can actually implement it within 5 days. So it's kind of like if you want to work with us, we are well organized, but it also is not like a magic bullet, and that you're going to like, if we start working with each other today, don't expect 10x your sales by next Monday. That's not going to happen.
So I think two key takeaways here, if you're listening, is number one, if you're scaling a startup, try to stay focused and not jump all over with new ideas unless it makes sense from your data. And also, you talked a little bit about being realistic and thinking about your business and your timelines and understanding that you can't become or beat Amazon in 6 months. That's like nearly impossible. Um, so you have to, I think what people have to realize listening to this is that there has to be a realistic approach to their marketing. You have to be realistic about timelines and results and the time it takes to build out a strategy. Do you also feel like, Jonathan, people don't really, they know their business, but they don't know their business? Do you feel like they know what they think they should know, but they don't know enough about marketing to really dive into the strategy well enough or understand their data well enough?
Yeah, I mean, they usually know well, like, but because usually people we work with are really techy. So the thing
Yeah.
is, they really know their product or their services, but they don't really like put themselves in the user's shoes in a way.
Right.
And so the thing is, they don't know how the people are going to actually use their product. And it's
Right.
because they might use it themselves, but because they are engineers, and they build the product themselves for themselves sometimes they don't actually put themselves in their user shoes. And as you said, it's because they don't look at the data, and it might be a pride thing. They're like, okay, our tool is the best, and that's what it does, that's how it should be used. But a lot of people actually use it in some other way, and they don't, because they build the product like if it's their baby in a way, that they don't want they want to educate or make the product evolve the way they think it is, and not how the people will actually utilize it. So it's important to be open-minded with potential changes to your product or to your marketing, because sometimes like if you will promote like a good example was I know in the US you don't have it, but in Europe it was working really well when I was young, like maybe 20 plus years ago. It was the smart car. I think it got bought by Mercedes after. The smart car
Hmm.
was a really small car for the city. So for Paris, for London and everything, because it was so small, you can park pretty much anywhere.
Right.
And people like the marketing team at Smart were saying, oh, the smart car is going to be perfect for people who live in cities. At the end, actually, the smart car was used for companies, because many companies was like, that's a perfect way to actually promote my retail store, to promote my little brand, because I can just put a logo on the smart car, like drive around Paris and promote my store. So it's kind of like the marketers in the smart company was like were able to pivot because they were really open-minded. But yeah, sometimes you build a product or you build the services for like a specific audience, but for some reason it's like someone else who going to use whatever you build. So it's kind of like be open-minded to like the development of your product, but be open-minded with the development of your marketing as well.
Yeah. One last thing I want to ask you too, because I'm on the other side of the coin. I'm more on the, you're on the lead gen marketing side. I'm on the lead capture, lead conversion side, which is why a CRM, like, a client tether or other tool out there is so important. What is your thoughts on selecting the right system to complement your marketing so your whole process is laid out very well, everything is working, because you need all those components, right? So how do you go about recommending a lead management system, a lead capture system, CRM? What are your thoughts on that side of it?
Like I would say like at the if you're really a startup founder, really at the beginning, in my opinion, you should test, learn, and iterate again. Because, like, don't say, okay, I want to go to HubSpot because everybody is using HubSpot, But maybe that doesn't fit your need, or maybe you don't like the UX, or like, I don't know, anything. So the thing is, at the real beginning, you've got like test 2 or 3 different tools. So usually most of tools have like a free trial for a couple of weeks to
Yep.
see if it's like which one fits your need, one fits like what you're expecting from this tool. And according to this, then like make a decision. Don't make a decision at first where like, okay, I've heard about HubSpot. HubSpot is probably the best, so I'm going with HubSpot. And because once you started working with a CRM, but actually any other tool, it's kind of like if it's a project management tool, is the same. Once you started to put all your data or all your leads or all your process there, it's actually very difficult to move away. So the thing is, it's better to make the right decision at the beginning. So I would say test 2 or 3 different tools, and then once you see the best fit, whether it's a customer service, UX, or whatever, then stick to it.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, I'm someone who offers, I have clients that use our CRM, but I am 100% in agreement with you. I tell people, make sure this is right for you. It may not be. If it's not, we'll tell you that. And we'll recommend go with a HubSpot or go with a Salesforce, but do that due diligence to make sure the system is going to fit you. It's like I tell people, you're not going to go car shopping for a sports car if you have a family of, 4 kids, right? So it doesn't make sense. You need to buy what makes sense for you at the time you're in, right? So
Totally.
I think that's important. Jonathan, this has been a really great conversation. So if people are listening, they want to get more information about marketing, how to approach it, maybe they're a startup or just a general solo entrepreneur, how do they reach out to you?
If they want to reach out to me directly, it's quite easy. They go to LinkedIn, they type my name. What's good with my name, I'm the only one in the world with that first name and family name,
Wow.
because my family name is quite rare in France. There's just not many left.
Yeah.
And most of people are like 60 plus years old, so they don't have a name like Jonathan. So I'm literally the only one in the world with Jonathan Aufray.
Wow.
So
You're a rare
and
person. Yeah.
yeah, so that's very easy to find me. Or if they want to contact my team directly, they can go to our website, growthhackers.net, and I know fill out the contact form, and we will reach out to them.
And I will put the link to your website in the description. So everybody go there, check out Jonathan. Um, you're one of a kind, Jonathan. So thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for all the insights. And I do hope we can keep in touch. If you're listening and you want to learn more about what Jonathan could do and his team for your business, go to the website. I'll put it in the description. Jonathan Aufray, thank you so much and have a great rest of your night. Okay.
Thank you, Ryan. You too.
Hey, this is Ryan with the Business Stories Podcast. And if you're a franchisor, franchise consultant, broker, or just a small business owner, you've got to check out clienttether.com. It's an amazing sales automation tool that is revolutionizing the industry. If you want to learn more, go to clienttether.com and inquire within.